I'll go ahead and start this up and warm it up. It's been in the hanger and it warmed up, so it's about 40 degrees in there, so it's not as bad as it was. But I'll still let it run a little bit to warm up. I'll go ahead and go get some of the other tools while that's warming up a little bit. I'm going to do just like I did with the other one. I'm going to go ahead and cut an angle on this diagonal so that it butts up against this lower crossbeam. And I might take just a little bit more angle on this one so I don't have to correct it. We'll do the other end. Use that cutoff angle there just to shim that up so it stays in place. Flatten that out so it lays up to this post. Go ahead and lock that side down so that thing doesn't quit sliding around so I can make a good point. That end is tied down, so this end is not going to flop around here as much as it did. I go ahead and got the pockets milled in there for the extra lag bolts. I had a hard time with this one on this end because the wood is dead and it didn't cut very good smoothly. It kept hanging up on the chain. The other ones went better. Well, the one on the other end I went ahead and just scrubbed it all off flat. And then this one on this end I did it because there's not as much sticking out over the post. You know, I get too close to the end there, it'll just split. So I'm going to go see if I can find my tape measure and recheck the diagonal on that, and then I'll bolt down that diagonal brace and then put some more bolts in those other two. Okay, the diagonal on this should be about 104 inches, so roughly right about there. Alright, so that's close enough, that'll work. It didn't change any. We'll go ahead and screw down this diagonal. Put a couple more screws in each one of those cross pieces. Okay, that one's done. Oh, this is damn near too heavy to manhandle now, and it will be definitely when I put the cross pieces on it. So I better get this turned around 180 degrees. I want these braces and stuff on the inside. Good thing I brought extra nails. strong. I'm going to move this one. Well, it's heavier. So that'll be that one. And that's the bigger side. There we go. Okay, that'll work. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of make those pieces up to the post. Pretty good. Same thing on this side. Now if you're careful and keep the kerf on the cutoff spot, or keep the equal amount of kerf on this chainsaw blade equally in both parts, it'll clean up pretty good and perfectly mate those two pieces. But if you get over a little bit too far on one side or the other, and I kind of did that, and then you wind up taking getting a sliver in there and it doesn't come out, and it winds up shimming in between the two pieces, so you got to take it apart and get that piece out of there and then start over again. But when that blade goes down between those two parts, it makes a perfect mating surface, a perfect match, or nearly perfect. So I've got those pieces. I'll put one lag bolt in each one of those two, and I'm not going to do any more until it gets time to square that thing up. I've got two more long pieces left, and the big one I'm going to put on the front posts up here, and the smaller one I'm going to put back here on the rear post. Now I got to determine which one's which. Well, this is definitely bigger. That one will go there. Now this one, I'm going to put the butt end or the big end down on that end down there, because that cross piece is down lower than this one. I want to get them pretty close to the height of the posts on there. Yeah, I better get this umbrella tip back a little bit. After lifting this one a little bit, I'm not so sure that that one's the smaller one, but the big end is pretty big. Okay, there we go. It's up there. Well, that's going to be a pretty good match right there. Yeah. trying to put this up there, and the heavy side is going to be to the back instead of the bottom. It'd be easier if I let gravity take effect on it and just sit there and rest with the heavy side or the off-round side down. But to do that, then there'll be a swale in the piece, and I want it pretty much as flat across as we can get it. So that will help it sit flat on this piece here. I'll get it made up against this post. I should go and get some 8-inch long lugs for that one, maybe. Okay. Alright, so we got 13 feet, 11 inches there. That's fairly close. Feet, 11 inches there, so that top piece has got to come out quite a ways. This piece has got to come out quite a ways. All right, that's close enough. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, that should do it. I'll put a lag in that one. All right, now this one, there's not much rock in it here, so there's not a hell of a lot of adjustment in there for square. Probably do a little bit if I put another bolt down through these cross pieces right here. But that would stiffen that up, but it's pretty damn stiff the way it is now. So let's see if I can get this one up there. Oh yeah, all right. So this piece is spread out quite a bit. It can go in that way quite a bit. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm just going to okay. Now this piece, I'm going to go ahead and set it up on top of those posts. Put it straight on top. It's not going to be lagged in. It's going to rest right on top of the post. Well, I have to get the step ladder out here to work on it. Let's set up some scaffolding or something. Now this end here on the left is quite a bit smaller in diameter than the end on the right, but that can be made up by just the amount of wood that I cut off of it. I'll just go ahead and scrub them down flat and just lay them on top of those posts, and then bolt them down into the end grain. Now that one's 14 feet, so I've got to cut it off. I can let it hang out a little bit on either end. That won't hurt anything if it hangs out. So, well, I'm going to put all my stuff away now, get the Bobcat snowplow going, and plow some snow so that Judy can make it up the hill when she gets off work. Hey, I stopped the other day to go plow snow. The forecast was for an inch and a half or so, and we wound up getting about 6 or 8 inches of global warming. Well, anyway, it was dark by the time I got done plowing that. And yesterday, then it went from 10 degrees to 18 degrees while we were working on this out here, and then it went from 18 degrees to 28 degrees while I was plowing snow. And then it went to 31 degrees, and he said we were supposed to get about 3 inches of snow buildup, and by the next morning, yesterday morning, we wound up with about a foot of snow on the ground, and it was pouring down rain. So we wound up plowing snow again yesterday. Now we've got about 2 inches of ice on everything because it's been raining, and snow melt is coming off, and it's freezing on the ground. The ground is frozen hard. It's frozen about 6 inches deep, probably better than that on the driveway where we beat it in. So I spent the morning this morning putting ice melt on it, and all that does is melt holes through the ice and then down underneath, and all of it runs down the hill, and then more runs in behind it and freezes. So it's kind of a lost battle. We get back here to the woodshed, and I needed to get that roof up where I could get it out of there with the excavator. It's too heavy to manhandle, and so I brought the little excavator in here, and I moved the frame in a little ways and was able to reach the strap I had around the roof. I've got it picked up. Now I can bring it over and put it on the frame when I get ready to. So I had to put a couple more bolts and some of those cross pieces there, got those bolted down a little better. And now we'll go ahead and put that front purlin on there, that front header. And I was just going to go ahead and flatten that timber up and just set it on top of those two posts, the tall posts. But I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to cut a shallow V, reverse V on the post, and a shallow V in the pole, and so it mates up there, and that way that'll kind of hold in position a little better. It'll keep it from racking quite so much. It'll set down in there. So we'll get started with that now. Go ahead and check the diagonals on this and get it set. You know, grab the tape measure and run it down into that corner over there. That's good. You don't have to. That's 186.
A little wider in the front.
Probably. That should be good. All right, now we'll try it. there's the woodshed. It's pretty much done. I finished it up the other night. Well, actually, I came out not yesterday, day before yesterday, and I pulled some pallets down here to lay out to stack the wood on. I got 3 pallets across the back, and then 3 more across the front that I just cut off to fit. And then I took 2 of the cut off ends and stuck them in that end over there on the right side, where the pallets didn't extend all the way to. And I put, let's see, you can see it here. It's because this thing, it fit in the bird's mouth on the front of these rafters, and it dropped down on this front post on that. But because everything's round and it was froze hard and wet and slippery, it didn't want to stay. I had a 6x6 back there in those bird mouths, and that was the original shed, and I hoped it would stay to kind of hold as a block to go across there to stop that from sliding down any farther. But of course they wouldn't stay on there. It was just toenailed in, and bouncing around and stuff, putting it on here, it tore loose and fell off. Well, I took some plumber's tape and I nailed in to this couple of these rafters, and then down around in the front of this this post here, this timber that goes across here, this purlin, I guess you could call it. And I did that in a couple spots on the front here, and in one spot on the back. I didn't do as good a job as I'd like to because it was dark and I was cold, and it was windy and gonna snow and nasty and stuff, so I kind of put it on there and got it on. It was supposed to blow 30-40 miles an hour. It didn't quite blow that much, but I was afraid if I didn't do something, it'd blow that top off of there. So we got it buttoned down a little bit. Probably come in with some more of that plumber's tape and strap it down a little bit better. You can see the front of the building doesn't quite come up and quite match over the front of this this beam here, the front of the shed. Now that thing was built to go underneath the edge of another shed, so it didn't quite matter what this front edge of it looked like there. So I'll probably have to get a piece of old roofing, and I'll just screw it on lengthways down this beam and let it hang over the front here, perpendicular to what the regular roofing is. Otherwise, I might put some more, well, I might put another brace in the back there, another post in the back to help support that back. It's plenty strong enough, and it's just a woodshed, so that's not too big of a deal. And I might put some uprights in there behind those diagonals and those cross pieces there to help stack the wood against. Right now I've started putting some wood in here. This is mostly some yellow cedar. When we went up and got these poles, some folks had been up there getting firewood, and they'd left some ends and stuff out there in the woods and along the road, and that they couldn't get loaded up or something, or didn't want. So we gathered up as much of that as we could, and then we've got the ends and the trimmings off of these posts. We'll get those put in there and stacked up and out of the weather. Now on this side here, we got the fool looking around out there where we got those posts, and somebody had cut down a snag, and I'm sure they thought it was just, straighten this out. It's hard to do here with the gloves on and stuff. It's cold out here. So anyway, we come across this snag that somebody had cut down, and I'm sure they thought it was just a rotten old snag, and I got to looking at it, and it was a red cedar snag. So we cut it up into chunks and drug it out, and I'm going to stack it up over here on this side where we can get to it. We use it for kindling. It makes great kindling. Not very good firewood, it burns too fast, but it'll be good for kindling. And it smells pretty out here from cutting that red cedar up. I started cutting it up when I got those pallets in, and I cut a few chunks up and got them stacked up, but I hit a nail or something when I was cutting those pallets, which is hard to believe. So anyway, I dulled the saw, didn't want to cut anymore, so I just pulled everything out and stacked it up. I also got a couple of pine trees there that were dead out in the muskeg, jack pine, and you might think they're not very good wood, but this jack pine up here in southeast Alaska is different than what to get down south. The stuff that grows out in the muskeg, well, if you try to count the growth rings in that piece right there, it's only about 4 inches in diameter, and there's probably about 150 or 200 growth rings in there. You have to use magnifying glass to count the growth rings in it. It grows so slow. So it's pretty dense for pine, so it actually makes fairly decent wood. Not as good as hemlock, but or yellow cedar, but it's still pretty good wood. It's a lot different than the jack pine down south. So there's my shed. I'll go ahead and finish cutting up those chunks there and get that stuff in there out of the weather. It's been it warmed way up and snowed a little bit and rained a little bit, and it got cold again. Didn't get as cold as it did last time. It only got down to about 15 degrees here at night, and it was getting up 25 or so in the daytime. But it's supposed to warm up this afternoon to 36 and start snowing again, or in the 30s and start snowing again, and so we'll probably get a couple of feet of snow the next few days. So we'll get this stuff picked up and out of the way while I get a chance. Well, I got most of the wood picked up, all the yellow cedar picked up and stacked up. That's in that rick there. There's what, 5 or 6 pieces of hemlock there. That was a green hemlock tree, green wood. That was a tree we cut down on the property this summer, and so it's not really burnable. It's green. I still got a pretty good pile of it over there. Well, not that big of a pile, but a pile of it over there. It's all froze up underneath the snow, and I'm not going to dig that out myself. I'll have the kids do that, and I'll put it on the bottom of that rick right there where it'll give it plenty of chance to dry out. It's not fit to burn this year. And we've got mixed pine and yellow cedar there, and the small stuff in that rick, and then wound up with a pretty good rick of red cedar there. I'm pretty happy with that. Red cedar is, well, there's a red cedar tree right there, and this is just about the northern limit of the red cedar on this island. It's pretty rare here. You see quite a bit of it down south of us and west of us, Zarimbo Island and Wrangell, and of course Prince of Wales, and that way there's a lot of red cedar. And then west of us over on the south end of Kupernoff Island, there's quite a bit, but you don't see much of it here. And to find a red cedar snag is really rare. I'm flying around and stuff, I'm driving around, I'm always looking for them, and I don't ever see any red cedar snags. I see a lot of yellow cedar snags, but not very many red cedar, so I don't think they hold up near as well as the red cedar, or the yellow cedar. I don't think the red cedar holds up near as well as the yellow cedar. So anyway, I got a couple more straps on my roof there, strapped down to that timber, and I put 2 on the front here, and then I had put 1 more on the back. Now maybe I'll take one and wrap over that end of that post there where that purlin attaches to it on both sides, just to make sure and hold that down. It's just screwed in there, and it'll probably be fine, but you might as well put a strap on both of them just to make sure, since I've got them out here. So anyway, that piece of yellow cedar there is just a butt that we found that somebody left up there in the woods where they're cutting wood. I haven't cut any wood of my own this year, except for that pine that I cut down. I don't know, 2 or 3 little pine trees that cut down that were next to the road out in the muskeg, little dead trees. So I don't have a heck of a lot of wood left here. So, but now I got a woodshed, I can get some. And so there's the woodshed, all ready for wood. Again, I still got to get a piece of tin and put over that front, but everything's all froze down and covered with snow now, so that might not get done for a while, especially since we're supposed to get a pretty good amount of snow the next couple days. There's the woodshed. Pretty raw, rough, but it'll work. It's just for temporary anyway, although temporary around here has a tendency for being 15 years or more, so